Guten Abend. Hello, meine Freunde. Ich begrüße Sie bei Hanovi Global Network. Good evening, my friends. I welcome you to Hanovi Global Network. Now tonight, we will have a very candid and serious discussion. And this discussion will be centered on the actions that the NNP should take if they truly want to win the next election. First and foremost, as you may realize or know or have seen, that the GSDP, in some respects, has always been a friend to the NNP. Whether directly or indirectly, what we have said, the NNP has benefited from it. So I believe it is time that the NNP pay forward to the GSDP. I want the NNP to realize that the GSDP is a friend in some respects. Obviously, I know you understand that the GSDP are not friends with socialist Marxists who we believe are in bed and in some respects has hijacked the NDC. We know the consequences when socialist Marxists get involved in any upper echelons of power in Grenada. We've seen the consequences in the past. And most recently, we're also experiencing and seeing the consequences. So, I am sure you are wise politicians with decades of experience in the NNP. So you too should realize the dangerous consequences that could result if the next election is won by the NDC, the socialist Marxist bedfellows, and other socialist Marxist sympathizers. So, as I have said, this election is critical. So, what do you do when elections are critical? You ensure you know who your friends are, and you know who your ops are. So, this is not the time to be sentimental. This is not the time to waste resources. This is not the time to lose focus. You should realize that the GSDP is extremely viable in the St. George Northeast constituency. So, what should you do? I strongly suggest that you divert your resources to the GSDP, where we have an extremely viable candidate. Again, this is not time to be sentimental. This is not time to waste resources. I strongly suggest, again, that you divert your resources to the viable candidate in St. George Northeast that is capable of taking down Mr. Ron Redhead. This is the only candidate that he truly fears and respects. And he knows, especially, that Mr. Nicholas Macmillan is under the umbrella of protection of myself. So we have seen the capabilities and the movement in the needle, in the Northeast. Mr. Nicholas Macmillan is the viable candidate, is the only candidate under the careful hands of the GSDP that can actually displace Mr. Ron Redhead from the St. George Northeast constituency. The people of the St. George Northeast constituency understands that Mr. Nicholas Macmillan can relate to their struggle, understands their struggle, is one of them, And when he gets an opportunity to represent them, he will represent their interests. It's quite obvious Mr. Ron Redhead is incapable of understanding the people throughout the length and breadth of the St. George Northeast constituency. And I would like to say I appreciate many of you across the St. George Northeast constituency that have reached out to the GSDP and are willing to support. I encourage you to continue to support and take the opportunity to divert your resources to the GSDP so that we can take this fight to these charlatans and these imposters. So to you, the layman of Grenada, and to many of you in the diaspora that is truly concerned about the direction in which your country is going, then guess what? The only practical thing to do is to come on over for the big win with the GSDP. Show that you truly care about the direction of your country and support us. There's ample opportunity to support us. There is the heart-shaped icon on our YouTube channel next to the comment section and the bottom of the video. Please feel free to support us. It's only through your support that we will be able to consistently take this fight to the NDC. Remember, we don't receive money under the table from dark, sketchy deals. Our campaign will be run with honesty and integrity, and we would not be beholden to charlatans and imposters. We would not be beholden to big money interests, but your small donations is what is going to do it, so that when our candidates are elected, they would be beholden to you. We're not going to take the coffers of the Grenadian taxpayer and repay millions of dollars to people who help fund our campaign. That is not the MO of the GSDP. That is the actions of charlatans and imposters who pretend to love Grenada, all while they use the resources, hard-earned taxpayer resources of the Grenadian people, and make deals with it and spend it as it were their own personal piggy bank. I want you to understand that there are some very confused people in the circles of the NDC, and they are doing whatever it takes to support them to try to get them to win. So if you understand the gravity of the situation, you must realize that you have to support the GSDP so we can actually clinch it in the St. George Northeast constituency. When that happens, that would be a good thing for all Grenadians. Again, the reality is stark and the situation is grave. So especially you, the NNP, and the followers of the NNP and the sympathizers of the NNP, and just downright center-right, understanding men and women, you have to understand that the GSDP has done a lot for you. So it is time for you to pay back in some respects. Life is never a one-way street. It's only through strong alliances that you would be able to defeat the NDC. You must understand that the NDC is not fighting you alone. You have to understand, NNP and NNP followers, that you are fighting the NDC, an NDC that is hijacked by socialist Marxists. You are fighting socialist Marxist sympathizers locally and in the diaspora. And you're also fighting the DPM. You cannot fight on three fronts. Even when you fight on two fronts, it is difficult. The world and history is littered with examples of nations that have fought on two fronts, and the consequences were dire. They lost. Their nations ended up in ruins. So I want you to see this politics, this election, in some respects, as a battle. And it is a battle. So just like any other battle, you must form alliances. You must be careful with your resources. You must remain focused. And you cannot afford to be sentimental. You cannot pour resources in places where there is no hope. But with the GSDP's candidate, Mr. Nicholas Macmillan, there is hope. Okay? So I want you to understand that. We understand. Look at the Germans in 1945, they terribly lost the war. Because why? They were fighting on two fronts. They were fighting Britain and France in the west, and they were fighting the Soviet Union in the east. And to very detrimental consequences. The country laid in ruins and ashes. Okay? I want you to understand that Napoleon tried the same thing. He fought Britain and he fought Russia. And at the same time, he fought on the Spanish Peninsula. Okay? We all know the consequences of that war. Napoleon and France lost and was destroyed. We can point right here in the United States, where the Confederate forces fought on the Western Front and the Eastern Front and miserably failed and was forced to surrender. We can think about the examples in Japan. Japan fought China and the Asian continent and also tried to fight the US in the Pacific. And we all know how horribly that ended. I say all of this to say that the NNP has to understand that they are up against a triumvirate. And if they don't understand that, and they do not know thy enemy, then how are they expecting to win? In this election, you must know your enemy, and you must know your friends, and you must, for the good of nation. And if you seriously want to win this election, you must make the proper alliances, and you must do it early. Do not wait at the last minute when you may need a friend or you may need an alliance. You have to understand the other parties are not going to make alliances with you if your back is against the wall. Okay? So, words to the wise, okay, are sufficient. You must understand that you by yourself is not some behemoth, okay? That you're vulnerable. That NNP in its current situation is filled with newcomers. And we do not know how receptive the masses would be to these newcomers. Okay? So I want you to understand that. NNP in its current state is not the party of Keith Mitchell. That was strong, united, and under a top-down unified command system. The party of today has been shocked by the last election. And there is some sort of anxiety because of that. So we must be vigilant and sober, disciplined and structured if we are to achieve the ultimate aim of liberating Grenada from the clutches of charlatans and imposters. Again, as I have said, a word to the wise is sufficient. So, my friends, far and wide, if you share the values and the concerns that I share, I strongly suggest that you hit us up on the super thanks. Support our videos, share it, comment, and together we would be able to achieve what may seem the unachievable. Your vote, your help truly matters. Come on over for the big win. Help us liberate Grenada, as I have said, from the clutches of charlatans and imposters. Guten Abend. Wer an zwei Fronten kämpft, ist dazu bestimmt zu verlieren. He who fights on two fronts is destined to lose.